So now we're going to get into workflow agents. So last time we got together, we had this little analogy of how we described, or a metaphor, if you will, of how we described an agent team. And we provide this example in case someone really wants to sort of humanize this whole experience and then relate it to an agent experience. So if you think about your primary doctor, when you go visit the doctor, they sort of give you a diagnosis and of that, or at least figure out that high level diagnosis based upon their knowledge and tools available to them. Then they might send you to a dermatologist. They may send you to a cardiologist. In the case of in the agent world, that's your care team, right? Or that's in your doctor world, that's the care team. And then your dermatologist will have tools, your cardiologist will have tools. A little different in our world, from an agent perspective, you're getting all your answers from the primary doctor because they're able to leverage the tools and knowledge from those from the care team itself. So if we look at it, we've got our supervisor agent, we've got our agent team. Based upon the topic. They know exactly which expert to go to, and then they have their own set of tools that they all work with. And together, that's your agent team. Now, if we take it from the perspective of a workflow agent, it can do a fully set of tasks, fully automated. And just to put it in perspective of the same sort of metaphor before I turn it back over to Noreen to give you a live demonstration of this, is you think about, you go visit your doctor or the hospital, go to the emergency room, for example. And the first thing, they intake you, identify you, and then that gets set as a variable, including your insurance, vitals, that sort of stuff. So it passes from one to the next. Then they use that information to get scanned reports, which may be a document, being processed by the document processor. And then they give you an MRI. Is it normal? If so, go down one path. If not, go down another path. And then ultimately, you get, a notification with all of the treatment information and then a final diagnosis, right? So, sort of humanizing it to a day in the life of something happening from a hospital perspective, essentially thinking about using workflow instead of just one scenario where you're getting general knowledge and action, but it can follow a unpredictable path, um, where you have different switches and decisions have to be made based upon circumstances and what the LLM knows and what they know about you and bringing all that content together. So wanted to put that together sort of more from a humanistic point of view. And then we'll go into like full-blown automation here. So with that, I'm going to cover really quick what our scenario is and then hand it over to Narain. So what's really great about this scenario is this is capability that we now offer completely out of the box. It's one of our supply chain agents, but essentially we've got John. He's our AI administrator, works for Supremo, and Supremo has does manufacturing all over the world, and they buy a lot of parts and materials to make all of the equipment that they make. Um, and today, it's a very manual process where they go out and get quotes from all their various suppliers, and then they get those quotes and then they turn them into sales orders. They currently do that by hand keying all of those in the system. So they've got a set of people that they've hired on their procurement team whose job it is to review all those quotes, make sure that they're valid products and services that we want to buy, what are the pre-negotiated discounts, units of measure are correct, tax rates are correct, and then they're putting that all in the system manually. And so we're going to show how our supply chain team fully automated that process through a workflow agent. So with that, let me hand it back over to Narain.
Excellent. I will be assuming the role of John to do this demo, but before I do that, I'd like to take a step back and actually explain the AI agent team and all the different nodes that go into the team itself. So let me quickly jump into the AI agent teams within Fusion AI Agent Studio and click into this particular agent team. So typically, this is what a workflow agent team looks like. There's, like we've mentioned before, this list of nodes that are available to us to insert into a workflow agent team. I think we have something on the slide here as well. The new thing that's coming in 25D, like we've discussed, are workflow agents on top of the supervisor agents that were available to us in 25C. And I know JT touched upon this a little bit, but I'd like to quickly talk about all the different types of nodes that we have available to us within an agent team. There's, of course, agents that are still available, still containing topics and prompts and tools to kind of control how each agent works. That can still be a node and part of a workflow agent team. There's business object functions that you can call to either write to or get information from Fusion itself. If conditions, of course, we've seen branching of logic for particular agent teams. And JT mentioned how the workflow agents work really well for document processing. So there's one node type, which is an actual document processor, which can extract information from PDFs, vectorize it, index it, and so make it easy for further nodes that are down the line in the agent team itself to take that information from the document and then process it further. There's, of course, still external REST calls that are available to us to call the agent team itself or reach out to a third-party service. And now we have LLMs as part of nodes, where you can put in an LLM to read the, for example, read the output provided by a document processor and then further summarize it or extract particular information from that. And then there's the email node, which can send out emails once you've set up internet accounts on Fusion. There's also variables, which are new in 25D, especially helpful to set particular data points throughout the workflow agent team. So the agent team has exactly the right amount of information to process what needs to be done. And then there's Vector DB reader and writer. This is where data can be stored in the form of vector for easier access throughout the workflow itself. So with that, those are all the nodes, and I'll switch again back to this particular workflow agent team, close that down, and then really quickly, the way that John sets this agent team up is the first thing he does is initialize workflow. And the reason we need to do this is because ideally we're extracting this document, this quote, this quotation document from an email, but for the purposes of this demonstration, we've decided to just upload the document and then extract it, provide it to the agent team through what's called a document tracker ID. So using that document tracker ID, we get the actual quote itself, and we also know who the sender of the email is. So within Fusion, this person already has requisitions set up. They've previously set up requisitions. So they have, say, for example, a delivery address that's already in the system. So we extract that from Fusion and then check to make sure that there was an output from the previous node, just to make sure that this person is valid. And so we can continue down one arm of the logic. And if not, we can obviously cancel out and go down the right hand path there. But once we've confirmed that the person is legitimate and the document is also legitimate, we can then use a document processor to extract all the information within that document. And then the next two nodes are business object functions, and they basically extract Fusion UOMs that we have in the system because the quote can have different UOMs just because there's different companies that use different standards. But within Fusion, when you're trying to create a purchase requisition, you want to make sure that we align with the UOMs that Fusion's expecting. So first we pull out a list of all the active UOMs as well as the other node, the second node, which pulls a list of all the active currencies that we have on Fusion, basically making sure that they're all up to standard. And once we have those two bits of information, then we can use an LLM to actually extract all the line items, the header information from the output of the document processor tool itself. And once we have that information, we also have like the list of UOMs that Fusion's expecting. We can replace the ones that the LLM pulled out from the document itself with what Fusion's expecting. And then we create this payload to actually create the purchase requisition. And then the next node down creates the purchase requisition in Fusion itself. And now we can have another if condition to actually check if the purchase requisition went through. And if it did, we can use another agent that basically is a deep link creation agent with enough information pulled out from some of the nodes previously executed. It can create a nice deep link for us, and we can send a success email with that deep link in the body with other information that's useful to the person receiving the email itself. And so with that, I'll quickly jump back into the role of John. And what John will have to do to test this AI agent team is just click that debug button right there. And he can use a REST trigger to test the agent team itself. I have this set up and I should be able to just put that in. We're providing the document file name. What we're doing here is now the first step in the process, the first node in the process where we're setting up all the variables. We're providing person ID, the email address itself, and the document tracker ID, which ideally will all be pulled from the email itself. But now we can click on start test and hopefully this should kick off. And like with the demo that Brent gave as well, we can now take a look at what's happening, exactly what step we are in the process. I'm going to quickly scroll all the way up so I can show you this is getting that. The first step in the process was setting up all those variables. And then we make sure that this person with that person ID actually exists. And once that's all checked out and verified, we can then use this document processor tool to extract the information from the code itself. And you'll see that the response is just file stream once you click into it, but you can actually see the text output that the agent team was able to extract. And while we're looking at this, I'd also like to show the actual PDF that was uploaded. It's just this quotation with two line items. It's got a replacement of fabrication machinery built and labor. So we can take a look at this in, well, I can show you that those line items later anyway, but we can see that it stepped into fetching the active Fusion currencies, like I mentioned previously, and then now the LLM was able to take the output of the document processor tool itself and then put it into this neat format where there's a description for the requisition itself and information about the company and things like that. And then, like I mentioned, there's also this UOM matching just to make sure that the payload matches what Fusion expects. And so that's generated as well. And eventually, we're actually creating the purchase requisition using a REST tool. So really quickly, in maybe a couple of minutes, we were able to make this whole process, which used to be super manual for a company like Supremo Fitness, where somebody had to actually take a look at the quote, look at all the line items and put it into the system, to now where it's a matter of a couple of minutes where all the information is read by the agent team itself and the requisition goes through and you get a notification through this email. We're at that step where it's going to send the email right now, and there you go. It says success. We should be able to just click on get mail, and you'll see that there's that email that just came through right now. And there's that body of the email with deep links to the actual requisition that got created. Click on that once more, and oh, there's the requisition that just got created with the two line items with dollar amounts and the right UOM values. And also we can drill into one of these line items to see further information that the LLM was able to pull from the document itself. And now, once the requisition is created, it's in draft state, but it's reviewed by somebody once they get that notification through the email. And in case there's any discrepancies, they make that change, make sure everything looks right, make sure all the fields are showing the right value, and then they can submit this requisition for further processing. So that's how a super manual process, a super mechanical process, turns into a few minutes of AI agent team magic, which creates the requisition for us. And that's how John tests the AI agent team itself, and it seems like it's working fine. So now he has the option to set up roles for the AI agent team itself. So he can choose who's capable of using these agent teams itself. Or of course, once he set all of that up, he can publish it and have the right people start using this agent team within his organization.